Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Victorious Ones podcast, a place where gaming meets comics, meets sports, meets movies, as well as inspiration. Of course, I'm your host. Sorry about that. Of course, I'm your host, King Von Jr. Of course, you can follow me on social media on Twitter at 301 King Von Jr. You can follow me on Instagram at Mr. King Von Jr. I'm also a social media producer for the Unpopular Reviews wrestling show Perfect Plex Talk Radio. And so of course, there's a lot to get into as far as what happened this week. Of course, first and foremost, I want to say happy Juneteenth to everybody. Everyone enjoyed their Juneteenth weekend and activities and everything else like that. And it's just a great day to commemorate and another day to celebrate. Celebrate independence and freedom, and also just in terms of knowing how much further we have to go, celebrating how far we've come, and still acknowledging and working towards how far we have to go next. And we have a very, very, very long way to go. But I want to go soapbox about that. But yeah, of course, like I said, of course, this past week, like I said, I'm going to go into the week in wrestling. There's a lot that's been going on from Smackdown to Raw to NXT. We just had a pay-per-view, Clash of the Champions this past Saturday. It was great, and of course, the NBA Finals just concluded. Of course, begrudgingly, I have to say, Boston Celtics have just won their 18th championship. I almost want to bite my tongue just by saying that. 18. Hey, better team won, well deserved. Of course, Jaylen Brown. By the way, as was named the Finals MVP, and and they just dispatched the Dallas Mavericks, who clearly were not ready, clearly were not on their level whatsoever. I just got to get some of the other sporting news out the way. Just about how the Celtics were just out, pretty much fired on all cylinders, and Dallas was no match for them at all whatsoever. Kyrie talking about Earth being flat. The only thing flat so far was his performance in the finals, but who am I to say anything? But yeah, like I said, of course, it's those Celtics, and I don't even say it like that, but yeah. And right now, the Lakers are, kind of in question in terms of who the next coach is going to be. To talk to JJ Redick, possibly being being the new coach. But we'll just go ahead and wait and see at this point. So, I'm not going to be holding my breath about that. So it's whatever. But yeah, of course, also in other sporting news, rest in peace, R.I.P. Rest in power, if you want to say it, to a baseball icon institution, the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, one of our widely regarded as the greatest all-around baseball player of all time. He was a giant of the game. He's one of the most recognizable figures that the baseball has ever had. You talk about your Babe Ruth, your Hank Aaron's, Willie Mays. They're all in that conversation. Like I say, pretty much the big three, the most synonymous with the game. And his accolades speak for themselves. Multi-time All-Star, former MVP, World Series champion, over 600 home runs, 660 home runs, to be exact. And so of course, lived a long, prosperous life, 93. You know what I mean? So, like I say, RIP to someone who's an all-time great. Just how we lost both Jerry West and Willie Mays, like a week apart from each other. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, but yeah, but like I say, RIP to both of them. But yeah, of course I want to, get some of the usuals out the way when it comes to the week in wrestling. Of course, I want to talk about SmackDown this past Friday, which took place in Scotland, because obviously Clash at the Castle, is in that same place. And a guy I like to say about Clash at the Castle, especially when it comes to, especially when it came to that main event, my goodness, and like I said, just stay tuned for that. But of course, when it comes to SmackDown this past Friday, June 14th, Naomi defeated Chelsea Green, DIY. Of course, caused chaos in the Grayson Waller effect show, and I guess it's like it's like maybe some seeds planted for Austin Theory, to possibly turn face. Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, Santos Escobar defeated Apollo Crews. And of course, Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles definitely got under each other's skin and annoyed each other. Of course, heading into their I Quit match. At a Clash at the Castle. Of course, we had the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax, defeat Lee Chen. And of course, we also had LA Knight attack Logan Paul at Logan's house, and Solo Sikoa defeated Kevin Owens. However, Randy Orton saved KO, from a bloodline beatdown. And speaking of the bloodline, the bloodline Wolfpack, it's been, just found out it's been said that, it's been said that Roman Reigns has unfollowed Solo Sikoa on Instagram. So usually that's how wars start, modern day. At this point, as soon as somebody unfollows, as soon as people unfollow each other on social media, that, that's a red flag right there. That's, just, it's letting you know that there's trouble in paradise, and chaos, if you will. And so of course, that was a SmackDown leading right into Clash at the Castle. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go into, so I'm going to go to the results for Clash at the Castle. And, of course, as it took place in Glasgow, Scotland, hometown of the late great Roddy Piper, of his, Scottish heritage. But, that's the greatest kilt wearer of all time, by the way. It's also the home country of Braveheart himself, Drew McIntyre, Crybaby Drew these days. And of course, Mr. Twitter, Twitter fingers to trigger fingers, but more like Drew's pretty much gone from trigger fingers to Twitter fingers. You know what I mean? So it's pretty much the other way around. And so here's how Saturday's show looked. Of course we have the matches that were on the card. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles for the undisputed WWE Championship match. I Quit match. We also had the women's tag titles on the line with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill teamed up against Alba Fire and Issa Dawn versus Shayna Baszler, and so we start a triple threat tag team triple threat match for the women's tag titles. We also had Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable for the IC title, Bayley versus Piper Niven for the women's world championship, or at least for the WWE Women's Championship rather, and we also had Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, for the World Heavyweight Championship. And like I said, the show started off great, with excellent opener with AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes. I was a little surprised that this match, the WWE Championship match, started the show off. But then again, there's no surprises. Wrestling has a history of this, because I remember at WrestleMania 27, Edge versus Del Rio opened the match for the World Heavyweight title. But other than that, I digress. Of course, like I said, it was a great match, and like I said, it was very hard fought, and like I said, made sure like I said, they did everything they could to make each other break, and so of course, the crowd gave Cody a great reaction, and they continued to sing his music, and of course Cody took control the match right the gate from the beginning, and it took the fight to AJ Styles phenomenal, and so of course they ended up fighting in the backstage area and then right back to the arena. Of course, as Cody continued to control the pace of the match. And of course, in typical Cody fashion, in typical Rhodes fashion, he was busted open. Something that he's been known to do, something that, that Dusty was famous for doing as well. And of course, Cody got busted open after he collided with the ring post. And AJ was just sniffing blood at this point, as he started to pounce right away. And but of course, the thing is, it was a very well balanced match when it came to the offense. And so of course, AJ tried to use that cuffs to to handcuff Cody and bind his arms with ropes, but of course, didn't save him from taking a chair shot to the face, and then of course falling through the table. And so of course the conclusion wasn't very climactic. So it's pretty much as soon as of course, as soon as Cody grabbed the steel steps, AJ just yelled, "I quit." But of course, proceeded to hit him anyway. And so of course, overall, not much to write on about it. The winner and still WWE champion or undisputed champion, Cody Rhodes. So of course, that was one of his first big challenges. And someone is a future Hall of Famer, a legend like AJ Styles. Then we have the triple threat women's tag match for the women's tag titles. And so the background behind this, like at first I didn't get at first I didn't understand the decision behind the result, but when I found out the backstory, I get it. So we have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus Alpha Fire and Lisa Donna versus Shayna Baszler, as I said before, so it started. And of course, this was a triple threat tag match. And of course, they made sure they had at least one legal person at a time, so everything was like even playing field. There wasn't so it wouldn't like create any like unnecessary chaos. And of course, the match had a lot of energy, double team spots, and double team spots and things like that. And so of course, even though everybody had their moments, the stars were clearly Bianca and Jade. And by the way, one of the things I have to go back on is that in the very beginning, even dating back to the Cody versus AJ match, the top rope was really shaky. It wasn't as stable as the middle and bottom rope. So I believe that was pointed out, and of course for good reason, because that was definitely a huge cause for concern all throughout the night. Like I said, that top rope, like the top rope, just something about it just looked really faulty. And so of course but even with that, as far as like the challenges they and forming an alliance against the champions. And so I remember watching Bianca and Jade, like there was a backstage clip of Jade and Bianca walking down the stairs, and it reminded me of Legion of Dinner, but their outfits looked sort of Game of Thrones, right? Jade's hair looked like Daenerys, and Bianca, matter of fact, I even saw somebody create a meme. It was like a side by side, where Jade had the hair of Daenerys, and I guess Bianca was supposed to be Dracarys, if you will. But also there's another side by side comparison of Bianca's outfit with Storm from X-Men '97. The all black outfit. I was like, oh, apparently somebody must have been paying attention to the comparison that I did last year. Apparently there's somebody that was definitely taking notes, from taking notes from that. I'm like, just to let you know, as far as comparing Bianca and Storm, you're welcome. That was me. I was the one, at least most known for doing it first. Yeah, I guess might as well take. I'm just saying, you're welcome. But yeah, anyway, like I said, as far as that, obviously the opposing teams definitely had to form an alliance against these two powerhouses. You know what I mean, like Team Renaissance, and just typical chemistry that like I said, that Bianca and Jade had. Excuse me for stumbling across my words, but yeah, you know what I mean. So as far as that. But either way, that those like temporary unions and to be short lived once they realize that only be one team. So let's say like Alba and Isla teamed up with Shayna and Zoe to take out Jade and Bianca, but then they realized, wait a minute, there can only be one team to win. So it's just like those that little alliance that they had was very short lived, and so. But of course, like I said, it was pretty good, pretty solid, just pretty good display of teamwork and how to put a match together. But the thing is, of course, at the same time, there were certain sequences that took a little bit longer, and also there was a very famous botch between Jade Cargill and Shayna Baszler. So when Shayna had Jade in a sleeper hold, while the ref wasn't looking or paying attention, you can see Jade's hand, let's say Jade's in the hole, right? And if you look carefully, you can see Jade's hand going like this. I get, Jade was either tapping her hand or tapping Shayna's hand to as a signal tapping out. But of course, the thing is that was a botch. So the thing is, like, I guess like she wasn't meant to tap out. So a lot of people pointed that out. I mean, because that was very obvious. And there was another botch where I guess remember like Jade was going to finish Shayna, or I guess like she was kind of like a deer in the headlights or whatever. But Alba and Isla took advantage of that, and they became the new women's tag team champions. So, as I said before about this match having the background story, what happened was I think it was Isla Dawn or Alba Fire who lost their mom, and so because of that, Triple H and company decided as a tribute for Isla and Alba to become the new women's tag team champions in their home country of Scotland. So that way, nobody from Scotland would walk away empty-handed. At least that would be the ultimate feel-good story. So that selected to at least somebody who would be there as champion, right? So, knowing what I know now, I respect the decision, and it doesn't make Bianca and Jade any less of a tag team. It doesn't take away their credibility or anything like that. So your winners are a new women's tag team champions, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. Now, one thing that I do like, I'm glad I saw that there was a clip, a fan clip, by the way, where a fan, where a fan had recorded Bianca and Jade leaving, like I said, at least on the like I said, just leaving the ring, and on the way to the ring or on the way to the entrance. And so as they're walking away, Jade has her head down, and Bianca proceeds to put Jade's chin up. So the thing is, like I said, the thing is, Jade had, Jade had her head down because obviously you could tell that she was feeling guilty. Those of you that can read body language, you can tell that clearly Jade felt embarrassed, and she felt that was not exactly her finest hour. So as Jade has her head down, Bianca used her hand to move Jade's chin up, like just to encourage her, look, don't worry about it. This happens. Keep your head up. So that's one of the things I love about the tag team, just that sisterhood that they have. And of course, with Bianca being the veteran and being sort of like a big sister type of role for Jade. That's what Jade really needed at a time like that. So kudos to Bianca for doing that. But yeah, so as far as of course, another thing to point out about a matter of fact, I need to point this out and backtrack. Another thing about it, about the Cody and AJ match was obviously afterwards the Bloodline Wolfpack got involved. So of course they attacked Cody in his match until Randy Orton and Kevin Owens made the save, much like how Orton saved KO the night before on SmackDown. But if you look carefully, Randy Orton has, if you look carefully, Randy Orton was briefly eyeing the WWE title. For those who were able to catch it, if you know, like I say, he at least made like one quick glance at that championship. So seeds could be being planted right now. That's one of the feuds that I look forward to seeing Cody have as champion. It's a feud with Randy Orton. We'll talk about a story that needs to be finished. So I figured after all this stuff, with Roman, so like brushes over, he gets dusted off. Then at some point, Cody will focus on someone like Randy Orton. So he already has a W a W under his belt over AJ Styles. So win over his former legacy teammate or the leader of Legacy, win over someone like that would be an even bigger notch on Cody's belt. But of course, unfortunately, Jade had lost her initial gear, had lost her initial gear in her travel bag, but still looked great with what she ended up using. It's one of those things, just like one of those things, just like one of those looks, so like behind the scenes. I mean, like that, kind of like that, like super fun. One of those, behind the scenes stories, if you will, I guess you could say. But yeah, of course, with that, we also have Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. Great match, by the way. And I like to see the suspense between Chad and the Alpha Academy, how they were conflicted on whether to help Chad or just leave him behind. And there was definitely dissension. You could definitely tell that things were boiling over as Chad accidentally hit Maxine Dupree with a chop block on the leg that she has a boot on, and of course, like I said, that was just another red flag that this thing wasn't going to last long, and so sorry about that, but of course, the thing about it is that Otis and Maxine Dupree, with their mentor Chad, but the character Zawa was nowhere to be seen. So this match started off something very simple, but really competitive lockup and so of course, so, 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 um, it's a thing. This wasn't necessarily, like I said, this match wasn't exactly a clinic itself, but of course, just how to take basic moves and make everything look good while also telling the story as well. Um, but Chad came this close of winning at one point, and of course I want to say that was as a matter of fact that was the point where he was going after Sammy, but ended up hitting Maxine with a chop block to the leg that had boot on it, and that of course eventually um, Otis stepped in as Chad was getting in Maxine's face, and so of course Otis of course ended up getting taken down by Sami Zayn. And I actually know what I just know about everything. Uh, let's say, I guess we all the stuff got mixed up. But like I said, it's at some point, like that's pretty much that's a excuse say so like Chad got in Maxine's face as Otis stepped in between, and getting taken down by Sammy, and then moments later, that's when that's when Chad actually knocked out Maxine, and that's what made Otis flip out. That just was a trigger for him, to see Maxine, hurt like that. Otis was pretty much like had enough, and so instead of attacking Chad or Sammy, Otis ends up carrying Maxine away, and so of course that opened up the door for Sammy to of course for Sammy to take Gable with his loopy kick for the win. And so of course this is this first, at least this definitely was needed to kick off the eventual feud between Chad Gable and Otis. So this one of the seeds that's being planted for that. And next up we have Bayley versus Piper Niven for the the WWE Women's Championship. And I must say that I was thoroughly impressed with Piper Niven. And by the way, Saturday was also Bayley's birthday, and Bayley spoke very highly of Piper Niven and the rest of the women in today's locker room. And for Bayley to say that this has been the most talented locker room of women's wrestlers that she's ever been in, that says a lot, considering the fellow horsewomen. That says a whole lot, considering that the initial era that she came through with the initial four horsewomen era that came from NXT to the main roster, right? So for Bayley to say that, considering who she's danced with, that says a whole lot. And Piper Niven definitely stepped up to the plate as a very credible heel challenger for Bayley's championship, and she did not fail to deliver whatsoever in this match. And the funny thing about it is that surprisingly the crowd was very even split, and especially now. Not only is it because of Piper's home country, but Bayley's super popular in Europe herself. So of course, pretty much like how at WrestleMania 18, fans were divided between The Rock and Hogan. Just because even though Hogan was a heel, he was still super popular out there super popular out there in Toronto, just because of his previous history. Like I said, with WrestleMania 6, and also also those house his house shows, tours that he was doing in Toronto, pretty much going to place like Toronto and stuff, back in the 80s, right? So because of that, because of Hogan's history in Toronto, from the 80s when he was initially the champion to WrestleMania 6. Crowd still love it. The same thing goes for Bayley versus Piper Niven. Piper, um, that's her home country, but the thing is, like some people in Europe, they love it. So, but of course, it didn't take long for Charles Robinson, by the way, aka Baby Nate, to get tired of Chelsea Green's annex and her, just got tired of Chelsea being a Karen, and eventually he ejected her from ringside, sent him backstage, and so Michael Cole was more excited than anybody for that decision, and so throughout the match, Piper continued to use her power to dominate Bayley, but at the same time, the role model had a lot of counters up her sleeve to keep herself in this fight. And I've seen plenty of Bayley matches. That's probably the most I've seen her do counters. Then again, I'm going to have to go back and watch her previous matches with the likes of Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks before I officially come up with that conclusion like that. But other than that, though, it was a great match. And so Bayley definitely caught Piper off guard with a series of top moves, and eventually Chelsea came back with a Rey Mysterio mask, and so Lil Nate was able to see through that and send her back once again. So with that distraction, it still gave Niven enough time to recover, but it wasn't enough to stop Bayley from getting W. And so even with Niven's power, Bayley was clever enough to outsmart her for that win. That's really what it was. And then match of all matches, World Heavyweight Champion, the WWE World Championship match. Damian Priest, aka Zesty Undertaker, that's like they call him, versus Drew McIntyre, aka Braveheart, or Crybaby Drew. So on his way to the ring, Drew McIntyre, he's accompanied by a Scottish orchestra performing Scotland the Brave. It's his big WrestleMania-like entrance. And so what happened was WWE had a decibel meter to show the crowd cheering at around 100 decibels. That's how loud those people in Scotland were. And so, Damian Priest came out with his usual gear, which made Drew feel like an even bigger star despite him being a challenger. It feels like shades of Drew's match with Roman from the first Clash at the Castle back in 2022. The same match where Solo Sikoa made his debut on the main roster. So we have history repeating itself, but Drew is the main attraction, the challenger for PLE in his own backyard. So obviously these are two powerhouses, and that's why this felt like a very even matchup. So, this was definitely a highly physical match, and even though the thing is, the crowd itself was invested, but with Drew being the main event, you would think that countrymen would be much louder for him throughout the match. And I guess it's pretty clear that but like I said, sorry. But yeah, the thing about it is that because even though to Drew's natural home country, you would think that there would be more, like let's say, there'd be much louder for him. Much like Brett being in Canada. They are at their absolute loudest, like a fever pitch of how, sorry about that, but of course, as a side note, I'm going to be a guest on the Ringside Club podcast tomorrow night. So, I was, like I said, just doing a bit of a follow up. But anyway, but yeah, like I said, if this was Canada, if this was in Canada, with Bret Hart, those fans would have been exponentially louder. I mean, like I said, if anything, they would have just completely erupted and ripped the roof off with how loud that would be. But with Drew, can't really say that was too much of the case. But once again, it was a once again, it was a very physical battle, and so things improved towards the end as McIntyre appeared to have the match in hand, and so Damian continued to sell his leg injury as the referee was taken out during the match. So of course the typical ref bump spot, if you will. So because the ref was knocked out, there was nobody to make the count after Drew's Claymore kick. However, we were proven wrong because there was backstage footage of CM Punk watching the match, and he sees a referee, and he's like, can I see that shirt? Can I see that shirt? Pretty much. And so she gives Punk her referee shirt. And so this is where chaos takes place. CM Punk chose violence. He chose murder. So Punk went. So of course, after he gets the shirt, Punk runs down and teases a 3 count before kicking. Of course, as he was going 1, 2, but eventually he was like, nope. And all I could think about was Kendrick when he said, "I hate to walk." When he said, "I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk, I hate the way that you dress." He might as well be talking about Drew, So Punk has eclipsed Drew as the hater of the year. Let's just say it like that. 1, 2, and then Punk just stared at Drew. He's like, "That's how you're gonna get." And so because of that, this allowed for Damian Priest to recover and get the pin once the original referee woke up. So your winner and still WWE World Champion, Damian Priest. So yes, I would give this about 3.5 out of 5. Otherwise, not so much of a bad show. And now we're going to get into Monday Night Raw, and I must say that it was definitely, one to remember in more ways than one. So here in this episode of Raw, we have a Money in the Bank qualifying match. Jey Uso versus Rey Mysterio versus Finn Balor. And then also another qualifying match with Zelina Vega versus Kiana James versus Io Sky. And one of the biggest highlights was Seth Rollins making his return to Monday Night Raw. So Seth Rollins kicked off Raw in his first appearance since losing the Royal Heavyweight Championship to Damian Priest at WrestleMania 40. And so, the visionary, the revolutionary, whatever you want to call him, wasted very little time into in terms of establishing and letting people know the, motivation for his comeback. And it was a shot at the title that he established and carried. And so Damian Priest interrupted the proceedings and issued a challenge for the championship at Money in the Bank in Toronto. So what happened was, the typical WWE, like I said, the thing is, the WWE intro had experienced some difficulties, and so of course, this is the first indication of a threat to the new faction. As it was teased via QR codes for the last few months, and so of course, they'll enhance expectations of so-called massacre that the entity behind the codes had promised. So this definitely screams sport movie. But in the meantime, it's a huge pop for Seth Rollins as he keeps off the shelf. So then we have Braun Strowman versus Chad Gable. The winner of that match, by pinfall, Braun Strowman. And more you could see that dissension with the Alpha Academy. And so, Otis definitely has his hand on the trigger in case something pops off. And also, this was a huge moment for Otis and the rest of the Alpha Academy as they sever their relationship with Chad Gable after weeks of anticipation. And so of course, as far as that, Chad Gable is all by himself now. Then we have the Money in the Bank qualifying matches: Zelina Vega versus Kiana James versus Io Sky. And the winner of this match is Io Sky, as she defeated Kiana James, and she defeated Kiana James and Zelina Vega. Next up, we have Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn finds two challenges in the form of Braun Breaker and Sheamus. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Then we have Dragon Lee versus Carlito. Winner of this match, Carlito. And then this is, of course, the same night Drew McIntyre said that he quit just out of nowhere. Just randomly quit. Okay, whatever. He's definitely following Punk's footsteps, but he would never admit it. So of course, like I said, I look forward to seeing this match, because Braun Breaker is like a heat-seeking missile. Whoever is in contact with him, he will destroy them. Then we have, so that was the women's one. Like I said, it was Sheamus versus Braun Breaker. Then we have the Money in the Bank qualifying match: Jey Uso versus Rey Mysterio versus Finn Balor. And the winner of this match, Jey Uso. And at the end, we saw the return of the Wyatt Six. So business has really picked up in more ways than one. Next episode of Raw. Next up for this week's episode of NXT. Anyway, last week Cody told Trigger his next challenger would be determined a 25-man battle royal this Tuesday. And so Kalani Jordan defending the Women's North American Championship for the first time against Lee Chen. And then, of course, in a triple threat tag team match with Roxanne Perez team up with Lola Vice against Metaphor, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix. So is this a sign of for Perez and Vice to finally eventually work together as a team? So Okay. Then we have the NXT Championship number one contender battle royal, and of course, Joe Hendry was the second to last entrant in the battle royal, and obviously got a very passionate promo about the NXT Championship on the TNA. So I don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, you know what? Sorry about that, but yeah, as far as that, like I said, Joe Hendry was the second to last entrant in the battle royal, and so I'm just talking about the idea of the NXT Championship on the TNA. How the NXT locker room made very short work of Joe Hendry, as he was the first one to get eliminated. And so of course, Javon Evans was the 25-man battle royal to be the number one contender for the NXT Championship, as the last guy to be eliminated was Shawn Spears, who we potentially see. But you can see potentially see Javon Evans versus Trick Williams. And then of course, when it comes to Roxanne Perez and Nova Vice, of course, Roxanne Perez and Nova Vice defeated Lash Legend and Jakar Jackson along with JC Jane and Jasmine Nix. Then we have the NXT Women's North American Championship. It's Kalani Jordan defends against Mi Chen, and of course, Kalani Jordan defeated Mi Chen by pinfall, retaining the NXT Women's North American Championship. Then we have Obafemi versus Wesley. Obafemi and Wesley agreed North American Championship match, and so of course, Femi and Lee can quickly become the top angle and exceed it as long as they handle it properly. And like I said, if anything, this North American Championship is one of the things that's really carrying NXT at this point, especially because of who the champion is and the rivalry that he has with former champion, who never truly lost clean. So I'm looking forward to a feud between Wesley and Obafemi. As Oba said before, he's the mountain that you cannot climb. He was saying that to Wesley. So like I said, that promo was still running free in my head. And we have Fallon Henley versus Harley Bright, who was accompanied by Kim McRae, and the winner of this match by pinfall, Fallon Henley. Then we have OC versus Chase U. Winners of this match by pinfall was actually Chase U. Then we have Ethan Page versus Javon Evans. Again, as Ethan Page defeats Javon Evans by way of pinfall. Overall, I'm going to say that I was very impressed with NXT and really just just the landscape of wrestling in itself in general. More like I said, I'm more than pleased. I'm more than impressed. And by the way, before I go any further, I want to say big salute to Black Wrestling for revealing their BRP 50, which they release every year during Juneteenth. So I was glad to see Obafemi in the spot that he's in right now, as far as that ranking. But yeah, other than that, other than that, the week of wrestling was very eventful, to say the very least. So as far as Seth Rollins' return, business has definitely picked up. um, as far as Solo becoming the new bloodline leader, bloodline Wolfpack leader. That definitely, let's see, um, but yeah, like I said, as far as so, I was kind of trying to thought a little bit, but yeah, as far as the week, like I said, Islam when it comes to when it comes to week of wrestling, um, you know, I was more than actually I was more like I said, I was more impressed in Slam, and so Solo's briefly taking on the position as leader of the Bloodline Wolfpack. Um, the original Bloodline is not going to go down without a fight. So it's only a matter of time before. That's only a matter of time before. So lose my train of thought. Sorry about that. But like I said, congratulations on the RP 50. Um, you know, like I said, I look forward to seeing the way the rest of the list goes. You know what I mean? And like I said, as far as the rankings, no complaints so far. Thoroughly impressed. Now, as far as the direction of this Bloodline Wolfpack situation, Solo being pseudo leader, if you will, not an official full tribal chief. So when Roman makes his grand return to avenge his bloodline, is definitely going to be a real bloodline civil war. I'll say better than the last one. So yeah, like I said, as far as that, as far as that, when we get that out the way, and back to once again, back to once again the RP 50, and no complaint. Like I said, no complaints about it whatsoever. Honestly, I feel as though it's very balanced. And for those that don't understand it, it's best that you find out what the criteria is. And so their criteria is very similar to the criteria of PWI, right? So the thing is to make it look as presentable as possible, which they have, and great to see Open make the list for the first time. Great to see Jay Cargill. She's not in the top 10 right now. Spoiler alert. I definitely look forward to seeing what the top 10 is going to look like, because I know there's going to be a whole lot to talk about. Congratulations to Jay Bougie for for moving up higher on the BRP 50. Happy birthday to you as well. Congratulations to Jocelyn Navarro for making the list. Congratulations to Oprah Finley and many others who have made the BRP, this year's BRP 50. And business is definitely picking up more than ever before. And also, I want to say that I did see Bad Boys 4. I thoroughly enjoyed it. They never ever make a Bad Boys movie whatsoever. I've never seen a terrible Bad Boys movie myself, and so I watched it in the theater, expecting it to deliver, and they absolutely did in their own way. So that's all I have to say when it comes to Bad Boys 4. It's definitely worth it, and I look forward to seeing Inside Out too. So I guess there's not that much else for me to really cover. I will say that on 2K24, I did beat Hogan. I'll just say a classic 80s Hogan with the 2001 version of Rock. You know, I got 4.5 stars. I wish I could have done more to give myself 5 stars, but it is what it is. You know, so yeah, pretty much. I just want to say thank you very much for those that have been following this podcast, that have been watching this podcast. Watching on YouTube, listen to it on iTunes and Spotify and everything else like that. So my thing is to let my voice be heard, along with other Black content creators and podcasters and writers and things like that. So I look forward to one day being in those media scrums. It's great to see people that I know personally be a part of those media scrums, and being in those doors and being in those rooms. That means a lot. That means everything. So that's pretty much all I really have to say at this point. So thank you very much for those that have been watching by way of YouTube and listening by way of iTunes, or watching by way of Twitter, Facebook, however that you found this episode. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching, and have an absolutely great